What's up guys, today I'm going to be going over a lot of the different exotic shotguns in this game. I made a video yesterday about the legendary shotguns in the game and how they work in this current meta, and a lot of comments were about the exotics and wanted to see more information about the exotics, so that's what this video is going to be, with the Chaperone, Lord of Wolves, Legend of Acrius, and also Tractor Cannon. And we're going to be breaking down their DPS and also total damage output like normal. So first starting with the Chaperone, which actually has a pretty unique perk, the Roadborn. Precision kills briefly grant bonus handling, range, and precision damage with this weapon. And it's going to be a 70 RPM slug shotgun. And this perk is actually pretty cool. Once you get a precision kill, you have Roadborn for 10 seconds. And every time you get a kill during that time, it refreshes the timer back up to 10 seconds and will increase the damage. And on top of that, will increase the rate of fire. As you see, the base rate of fire is actually kind of slow. Then once you get a precision kill, it actually greatly increases the rate of fire, as you see right there. So looking at damage on Greg, without the perk it's 17,641, then with the perk 20,556, which is going to be a 16.5% increase with that perk, and on top of that the rate of fire increase. So first, without the perk, testing a few different rate of fires. First, one magazine, so 6 shots. That takes 4.167 seconds, meaning DPS over those 6 shots would be 25,401, which isn't bad, but not necessarily great. Now looking at the DPS over 2 magazines, testing it 2 different ways like last video. First, by reloading the entire magazine at once and shooting it off. So that took 10.834 seconds. Now doing it the other way, where after the first magazine, just reload canceling a single shot at a time. And obviously this will result in kind of a weird playstyle with Chaperone because it's a slug precision weapon, but this does allow you to shoot off 12 shots quicker at 9.15 seconds, meaning the DPS would be 23,136, which dropped off a bit from before, but not too much honestly. Now with the perk testing 1 magazine, the rate of fire is a lot quicker at 2.667 seconds, meaning 46,245,000 DPS, which is actually really good. Now over 2 magazines, doing the same thing we did before, reloading the entire magazine at once, then shooting it off, which kind of will be better for Chaperone so you can ADS. And that took 7.917 seconds. Now doing it the other way by reload canceling, and it's actually not going to be too much quicker with the perk. So with Chaperone, it's probably definitely worth just reloading the entire magazine. That way you can ADS for every single shot and not be reload canceling, and that took 7.234 seconds, so only slightly quicker, and that is 34,100 DPS. So the DPS numbers for Chaperone are actually really good for a special weapon, and the total damage output is right on par with most of the other special shotguns in the game. Nothing too great, but not too low. Now looking at the Lord of Wolves, which was one of the most broken weapons at its peak, and now they kind of changed it a bunch, and now you can hold reload to change which firing mode you're in. So first with the 5 burst, it hits those numbers, then with the 10 burst, it now hits this. So the damage over the 5 and 10 bursts are these right here, and you're only doing 5.24% more damage per shot with the 10 bursts. So most of the damage increase is just simply because you're shooting more shots per burst. Now looking at the rate of fire of Lord of Wolves over 1 magazine with the 10 burst option, so only 3 shots, that took 2.283 seconds, meaning DPS over those 30 shots would be 45,900, which once again is very good for a special weapon. Now looking at the rate of fire over 2 magazines and seeing how much it drops off, the reload is actually very quick on this weapon, so it shouldn't be too much, taking 5.667 seconds, meaning the DPS over 2 magazines is just under 37,000, which is still pretty good for a special weapon. Also, this weapon holds 120 ammo no matter what your reserves is, which would be 419,000 total damage, which is actually really good for a special weapon and among the highest of all shotguns. Now let's move on to the 2 exotic power weapon shotguns, first being Legend of Acrius, which is going to be that really hard hitting, very slow rate of fire shotgun. And in yesterday's video, I missed out on an extra chunk of damage that I knew about a long time ago, but I haven't used this weapon in so long. As you see, it's hidden at the very bottom where you pretty much have to be looking for it. If you add those 2 numbers together, it's 44.7 thousand. Now looking at the rate of fire over 1 magazine, shooting off 6 shots, pretty slow rate of fire. That took 5.55 seconds, meaning the DPS over those 6 shots would be 48,387, which is actually really good and only really surpassed by some exotic snipers and grenade launchers in the game. Now looking at the rate of fire over 2 magazines, so it's entirely reserves of 12. And this weapon, the rate of fire is so slow that you can reload 2 bullets per shot, so you may as well just reload cancel the entire way. That took 12.234 seconds, meaning the DPS over the entire reserves of Acrius is 43,902. And with Acrius, you hold 12 ammo with no perks, which is 537,096, which is very good for a shotgun. Finally, the last exotic in this video, Tractor Cannon, which is going to be the debuff weapon. On the first shot, we hit 8989 twice. Then on the consecutive shots with the debuff applied, we hit 11,686. And here are the 2 numbers for the 2 shots, and the second one is 30% bigger because of the debuff this weapon applies. Now looking at the rate of fire over 1 magazine like all the other shotguns, so 7 shots, that took 4.417 seconds. Main DPS is 35,818, which is pretty good for a shotgun, not so great for exotic power weapon. now over 2 magazines with 1 reload. And unlike the other shotguns, it's going to be an entire mag reload at once. So over 14 shots, that will take 10.384 seconds, meaning DPS over 2 magazines is just under 31,000, which is still higher than most of the legendary shotguns in the game. And the total reserves of this weapon is 17, which means 391,000 total damage. So this weapon's DPS and total damage is more on par with the legendary special weapons. But that's kind of okay because it makes up for it with the utility of the debuff. Also, in my opinion, one of the most underrated ad clear weapons in the game. One thing that is unfortunate about Tractor Cannon, just like Divinity once the change goes through, since all the debuffs in the game are now 30%, and there are so many debuffs to get, especially something like Oppressive Darkness this season, it's not really worth giving up your own exotic weapon just to get that 30% debuff when you can throw something like a Void Grenade on any subclass in the game and get the same result. So the debuff part of this weapon isn't as relevant as it was before, and in my opinion, just like I said about Divinity once the change goes through, if you want this weapon to be viable for a debuff, it needs to be a higher percent debuff than the other class-based ones in the game. There should be a trade-off for giving up your exotic slot for a debuff compared to just throwing a grenade. But with that being said, this weapon is still very good for that ad clear. Then it's also pretty good for single targets. For example, majors. It's pretty much on par with all the other shotguns in the game. Then you have Chaperone and Lord of Wolves, which are actually pretty similar weapons. With Perk, their DPS and total damage output numbers are actually very similar. The difference is Chaperone needs a precision kill to get the perk going, while Lord of Wolves, you pretty much have that perk whenever you want. But at the same time, with Lord of Wolves, with it shooting 5 or 10 shots per burst, you're going to be hitting a lot of body shots in there, which will lower your DPS numbers. Then with the 10 burst option, you might be missing some of the shots or overshooting, and maybe it only takes 7 to kill something, and the last 3 you're just shooting at nothing, and that will lower your total damage output of that weapon. While on the other hand, Chaperone is a slug precision hit weapon, so every time you miss a precision hit or just miss in general, obviously the same thing can be said, your DPS will go down, and so will your total damage output. So both of those weapons are actually really good for special shotguns in terms of damage per second and total damage output, but they both have trade-offs. And finally, Acrius is actually one of the most solid shotguns in this game. Its DPS numbers and damage output are very good for both exotics and power weapons. So there's really nothing negative to say about Acrius, it's just a really solid weapon. Anyways, let me know which one of these 4 shotguns is your favorite in PvE and why. The rest of this video will just be some strike gameplay with these exotic shotguns. Thanks for watching, catch you guys next time.
Unknown fire team, do you copy? Copy. Are there others with you? No, just us down here.